Forest, non-executive director for LiveHire, and for most of my career, I was managing director of Asia Pacific for a company called Corporate Executive Board, or CEB. Prior to moving to Asia Pacific and running the business here, building the business here for 10 years, I was in the Washington, D.C. headquarters for that company. It went from being a private founder-led company to being a public company, so I was along for the journey and was the first woman on executive committee as the head of global member services, so running the largest part of the business and having the opportunity to then take a break from that role and come to this incredible part of the world and open our business here. So running the business across all of Sydney, opening the office in Sydney, opening the office in Singapore, and running our business across Asia Pacific, which included China and Southeast Asia and, of course, Australasia. So that's my background. Deep experience in markets, products, scaling sales teams and organizations, commercial interests. And in the course of the work that we were doing, we're a global best practice research firm, came across LiveHire as this really innovative and actually perfectly fitted business to some work that we had produced that was all about the future of the way that recruiting would be done and the way that candidates would be looking for jobs. Actually ticked all the boxes, and we started a rapport, and I just fell in love with the business and with the people. So that's how I came to be.
Very good. Thanks, Steve. My name is Michael Rennie. I'm also now a non-executive director of LiveHire. My background is I've had 33 years in McKinsey, the global management consulting firm. I have had many roles. My last gig was on the global board of the firm for 4 years, and I ran about a quarter of the firm globally. It's a firm of about 20,000 people globally. So the area of the firm that I ran was everything to do with HR, people, culture, organisation, and a bit like Christy, one of the things that we did was we did an advanced research project on the future of HR and had a team in Silicon Valley for 7 months looking at all the latest innovations. And of course, one of the things that came up was exactly what LiveHire are doing. And so I became an early stage investor in LiveHire right at the beginning because I had seen all this work and where the world was going. And so I thought I met Gigi and the team about 4 or 5 years ago now, and was an early stage investor and have been involved ever since, an investor. But because of my role in McKinsey, and particularly the global board roles, I was unable to be involved in any way just because of all the conflicts. So I've now retired after 33 years, about 6 months ago, and so I've joined the board, and it's a great privilege actually, and it's been a lot of fun. So I've just only a month or so, I think, been on the board, so I've just been getting my head around it. I guess my other roles in the firm, I ran the Australian and New Zealand offices of McKinsey for 7 years, so I know pretty well everyone in Australian business, and because my area of focus was sort of HR, people, culture, I had a lot to do with all what was happening with HR, and it's not surprising to me that this has come out of Australia, because the Australian HR market is one of the world's most demanding and innovative, and so this is sort of historically what we've seen. A lot of the new ideas have come out of the Australian market pretty globally.
Great. And Michael, just further to that, while I've got you, with the technologies that you've seen around the world, you've seen many. What is unique about LiveHire? What's special about LiveHire that you've seen?
So I say this from my own experience, but more from the experience of some of our customers. So I recently had the opportunity, there's about 40% of the recruiting work in the large end of town in the world gets done by these sort of outsourcing companies or RPOs. And it's sort of more interesting to ask them because, obviously one of our sales channels is through the RPOs, right? And if you talk to them about what because we've actually been in discussions with them for about 18 months, some of them, and to the point where, and I think publicly 3 of them we have sort of a partnership with now, and they've chosen LiveHire out of, and these are global organisations, they've chosen LiveHire out of the global opportunity, and you ask them, well, why is that? So that's a much better test of sort of my view on it. But what they say is, you know, it's sort of the next best version of the mousetrap. What's unique about it is the talent sourcing model, the community sourcing model, which, because they only get 20 or 30% maximum people through those channels, LiveHire can get up to 80%. The cost of that channel versus the other channel is like minuscule versus the $5,000 a head, and so the cost advantage to the RPOs, if they can get that up, is enormous just for their business. They're very keen to work with us just because of what that does for their economics. It's, you know, it's a low margin business, it's very competitive. But then there's also a couple other things that they say. One is that, you know, it is a better version of everything else. So the competitors have been around, the others, the older ones, you know, have old systems. They're not as open to integration with all the latest things that are happening. They're not as quick, innovative, and what they say is they like working with LiveHire because it's got that sort of characteristic. So I think it's a very good platform. It's got this uniqueness in the community talent piece, which is extremely valuable, and it's also got an ethos and a way of working which is very innovative and, you know, quick to match their needs, and they see all that as a pretty compelling proposition. So that's sort of my view of it, Steve.
Terrific. And just further on the technology piece, we hear a lot about integrations and how important it is to integrate with your SAPs and your Oracles of the world. How important is that for LiveHire? And is this RPOs are very much RPO driven sort of scenarios? They want to use LiveHire because it adds to the bottom line of their business. Where's the push coming from to integrate with other technologies? Is it the Oracles of the world themselves, or is it more from existing clients?
So I'll just say a few words and Christy can pick up. So, you know, all these organisations, these HR organisations have sort of HR systems and then people systems, you know, like Workday and SuccessFactors, and what LiveHire does needs to link in with that. And so, you know, and integration with the 3 or 4 big, you know, people systems that are around, you know, is vital and is happening. So, you know, there's the big 3 basically that you need to be linked with. And secondly, then there's the small integrations. So there's a lot of things people want to do, like video sort of interviewing, and, you know, you have to be able to sort of integrate in, but they're small integrations with the sort of best of breed things in the system, you know, where we sort of act as a platform, and there's a bunch of those. There's 10 or so of those, I think, or 15 so of those, and Chrissy knows more about this. So that's an important part of it, but it's something that everyone's very aware of, and the guys do it very, very well. So you know, it's part of what's happening at the moment. Part of the scaling is once you get the initial integration done, then it's very quick to scale. There's only a small number of them that you need to be able to integrate with Chrissy much more.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would add to that is that, you know, the RPOs know how they need to go out and win business. And for us to be a part of that, they're bringing us in, right? They're giving us a lot of guidance. They're telling us that these are fundamentals for winning business. And so in a way, it's allowing us to work ahead and work feverishly to get everything in order for the RPOs to win with LiveHire, because they want that so much. So it's, you know, it's driven by the channel who understands the customer, and I feel like we are on a good pace, but we always feel the intensity and the pressure to work faster, harder, and have made some really strong hires in that area, and also have a lot of organizational attention on it.
And Christy, you've been advising companies, or both of you have been advising companies around the world. What do you see as the greatest challenge for LiveHire in terms of, from a sales and marketing point of view, roadblocks in sort of securing new clients and customers?
I'll take a stab at that one. I'm so optimistic about where the world can go, and I think we all know that that new technologies require adoption, and as much as an HR organization wants to respond to candidate desires, right? There's a real shift in power from companies to candidates, which, you know, some companies are probably grudgingly facing off with. As much as companies want to meet candidate desires and even their internal business partner desires to hire faster, hire cheaper, etc., the reality is it's change. And so I think one of the biggest barriers that we face is really being able to work with these HR organizations and to really help them implement change inside the organization, even if it all says that it completely makes sense, it's what the market needs, it increases their competitiveness. At the end of the day, they've got to move some processes, they've got to move some people around, they've definitely got to shift some mindset, and that's never easy. So we have a lot of focus and attention there as well.
Sure. And Christy, Michael, you're both the newest members to the LiveHire board. What have you sort of seen since you've joined the company, bringing a new perspective and a fresh set of eyes? Where do you think the business can improve and ultimately get to?
So maybe I can say a few words about that, Steve. So I think, you know, these companies go through stages as they grow, and the stage that LiveHire's at is, you know, it has a very good product. We know from both the RPO channel and the other, you know, direct sales channel that Christy was talking about, that there's a lot of interest in the product. The challenge now is twofold, I think. The most important one is just scaling sales. We've got a product that will sell. The RPO channel is a great way to do that because you basically sell them to them once, and then they have 20. Hi Geoff. They have 20 clients that they want to then roll it into. So there's a big upfront piece that you do, and we've been doing that over the past 18 months with a couple of them. But even being able to adjust, you know, we become the limit on that. They say, let's go, let's do 20, right? And so we have to sort of scale up to be able to do 20, big name clients, which is exciting, but that's exactly where it's at. So. And then, of course, in the direct channel, it's all about getting out there and being able to, you know, find the people who have that combination of wanting to make the change happen and the capability of doing it. And so it's all about scaling sales. I think that's where the business is up to. And secondly, about, you know, honing the sort of marketing and the proposition in a way that, you know, is really appealing to as many, you know, of the segments as possible. So segment-based marketing and proposition. It's exactly where you'd hope it'd be, but that's the challenge now, and it needs to really deliver on that in the next sort of 6 months, I think. So that's what we as a board are very focused on, how we can actually scale up the capability to do that.
We have Geoff now, by the way.
Yeah.
Great. Geoff, if you wouldn't mind popping up to the lectern.
Victim to the freeways of Sydney. Travelling at about 9k an hour. Yeah.
We do appreciate your time, Geoff. If you could just, for everyone else on the call, give a bit of an introduction to yourself, your industry experience, and I know you've been with LiveHire for a number of years from an advisory point of view. Now, non-executive chairman of the company. Just a bit of background on yourself, industry experience, and what attracted you to be with LiveHire.
Yeah, well, my background essentially for the last 40 years has been in the HR recruitment sector, and started a couple of global recruitment businesses and then sold them on to other international firms. So very passionate about the HR space, and in particular passionate about the quest that LiveHire is on, which is to really transform what is a very old-fashioned recruitment process and bring it into line with the way people want to look for work these days, which is much more focused on the candidate, focused on their desires and interests in the workplace, and helping organisations make themselves attractive to those candidates. So without sort of talking about a too hackneyed a phrase, but changing the process from being a reactive process, which is what traditional recruitment has been all over the world and very slow, to a more proactive process championed by the candidates. And it's fair to say that, in my experience, over that time, we've seen technology incredibly slow recruitment to a snail's pace. The process of attracting and hiring people today is incredibly laborious and slow. And a lot of that's at the foot of, if you like, advanced technology. So I'm passionate about what LiveHire is trying to do, and very excited by the two people standing beside me on the board. I think we've got a fabulous board now. And as Michael was saying when I walked in, we're honing much more finely the direction of LiveHire and our activities, and we put a lot of effort into that in the last 3 months, and we will see the fruits of that activity in the coming months.
And just further to that, Geoff, you've started businesses from scratch and built and sold these businesses. How do you rate LiveHire's journey to date in terms of going from commercialisation a couple of years ago to where it is now and to where you expect it to go?
Yeah, well, I think they've, it's like turning a wheel. You struggle when you start a business to get the wheel going, and as soon as you start to get some momentum in that wheel and some, call it acceptance in the marketplace, and you can speed up the pace, which is where I think Michael was saying we are at now. And we want to scale this, and we're putting all of our effort into doing that in a systems and human resource sense within the business.
Terrific. And Geoff, while I've got you, Mike Haywood, I know he credits you with basically coming up with the RPO business model, so you know the businesses very well. Can you give some insights on how these RPOs operate? And I know, Michael, you touched on before about the cost savings to the RPOs. Can you provide a little bit more detail as to let's say if a Randstad or someone accelerates, what it means for the rest of the industry and what the opportunity is for LiveHire?
Sure. I mean, you mentioned that Mike credits me with creating RPO. May be the case, everyone who invents something thinks they're the first one to do it, but the first one that we created here in Australia, which I believe was the first in the world, was with Johnson & Johnson Medical. And for everyone, to simplify what is quite a complicated process, RPO is essentially getting recruitment expertise from a recruitment organisation and putting it inside another organisation. So, outsourcing or insourcing, if you like, what we know to be effective recruitment inside an organisation. So it's called recruitment process outsourcing. So, and the reason that we're aligned to that is because probably 40% of the world's recruitment now is done through RPO operators, and there's 4 or 5 globally who control that market, and they are tasked with the business of taking on the recruitment for, say, our largest recruitment processing outsourcing in Australia for Talent 2 was Telstra. So that was 13,000 appointments a year. So it was our job against a key set of KPIs, probably 6 or 7, no more, to deliver that service at a price for Telstra. And it was up to us to use whatever technology and methods we thought were appropriate. So that's why for LiveHire, it's a very good system and partnership for us, because if they like our product and they specify the product, then the client's just happy to go with whatever they say. It's not the client's issue about which technology an RPO operator uses. So as Michael said, it's a great channel for us, and if we do the right thing, and we're working very hard on that now. With those RPO operators, it'll be a perfect channel for us, and then the business can focus, as Christy was saying, on our other direct channels of sales. So it's a national and global partnership opportunity for LiveHire.
Stephen, if you look at some of those KPIs, I talked about cost. One of the other big ones is diversity, and that's more important in the sort of contracts. LiveHire model is able to actually bring a more diverse set of better outcomes on diversity. Winning proposition, state, RPO in a very tight tender, cost, diversity, and also there's a number of elements, KPIs that Geoff was talking about, where LiveHire sort of ticks the box.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mike's statistics talk about 60-odd days these days to fill a job, and any decrease in that is certainly a productivity gain for the organisations you're working for. So, I mean, if you can get it down to 10 to 16 days in time to fill, which is an incredible benefit and cost saving for any organisation.
And further to that, Christy, I understand you've done a fair bit of work in talent mobility in the workforce, and not only is there advantages of time and cost to hire, but actually mobility within your existing workforce. Is that a potential another efficiency or another sort of string to the LiveHire bow, do you see?
Yeah, so I think when you say mobility within your own workforce, are you talking about inside a single company, their ability to move talent around as they need?
Yes.
I think that is an opportunity. I think the way we'll see it play out is that the mobility will come first through some of the diversity elements and being able to be more creative, open, multidimensional about how you view talent and your ability to open the aperture to candidates who have strong soft skills, who have strong demonstrated behavioral characteristics, etc., and not just run off of a CV and sift people out immediately. In a way that automatically leads to opening up the way you can move talent around and the way you can see people fitting in. So I see that first, and I see that between companies and out as you're looking to fill roles, particularly in some of these really interesting segments that companies are focusing on: women, vets, disabled, etc. But within a company, no doubt, organizations, the largest, they really, really struggle with that. It's in some ways for a candidate, it's easier to figure out where I might be able to go somewhere else than where I can go inside my own organization. The one thing that a company may struggle with in this scenario, but they'll get used to it because it's how the world will work, is that if they put all of their candidates into LiveHire, then those individuals are also seeing other opportunities. It's the democratization of the candidate. And again, this is the power shift. It's happening. They won't be able to control it, but equally, they'll have to build the muscle around the mobility in the external, probably, before they build the muscle on the internal. Absolutely an opportunity, though, and it's a pain point for them. So somebody will be progressive enough to see the opportunity to use it that way, and no doubt I believe it'll happen.
Terrific. And final question, I know we've just got 1 or 2 minutes left. Michael and Geoff, I know you guys went with Mike to the US. Just interested in what the reception was there and any feedback that you had from the recent trip.
Geoff went actually out in the coast there. My mum wasn't well, so I had to.
Yeah, unfortunately, we missed Michael there with his incredible experience in the valley with all of those corporations. But we had fair to say that our reception was very enthusiastic. Just a few of the companies, Facebook, we spent a day and a night at Facebook, and they are very keen to look at our product and understand what we were doing. As an example, even within a company like Facebook, which was amazing to me. They have 1,000 internal recruiters in Facebook, and they're happy if those recruiters make 4 placements a year. And that just talks to how difficult it is for an organisation, even like Facebook, to find engineers and talent in the Valley. But we also visited with Google, Google Jobs, where they're building that whole thing, and that was a fantastic day as well. But I suppose the most interesting for us was the companies we met in AI, in artificial intelligence, and we've already started to work with one of those providers who's quite phenomenal, the work they're doing, and that's certainly changing how our product's working already. So that was probably the highlight, and I expect that Michael and Christy and Gigi and Mike will probably go back there in the near future again, because there's a lot more for us to learn and a lot of other very interesting people to partner with.